Hey guys, today I'm gonna share with you the story of my first Alien Betta fish. I'll give you spoilers from the beginning. It is a sad story, there is no happy end, but I think it's important to talk about because there are details that I do want to share with you which I really hope will help you with your Betta fish generally, and at least will help you avoid the mistakes that I did and focus from the get-go on the things that I corrected. Right, so let's start with Alien Betta fish. What are they? Are they from outer space? No, they are named that way, I suppose, for their beautiful and outer-worldly coloration. They have these wonderful metallic scales to them, which makes them shift colors. I even actually posted a short on my YouTube channel about the Betta that shifts colors magically. It doesn't actually change color, but the colors do change depending how the light hits the scales. So if you move or the light moves, the colors can go from blue to green. Now, the Alien Betta is a fish that I wanted for a very long time. Not 15 years like the zebrafish, but quite a long time ever since I learned they existed because they look absolutely wonderful to me and indeed outer-worldly. So I saw an opportunity at one of the pet shops in my area, well, in a different city, and I just had to take it. The fish you see in these images is a female. I named her Hera. She was sold to me as a male actually, and when I got home, I did notice the egg spot, the ovipositor spot actually, and that's a dead giveaway that what I have here is a female, not a male. I got her home and on the way I did notice that she had a pretty weird behavior in the sense that she was very jumpy. Now, Betta fish jumping, not a notion we're unfamiliar with, especially short-tailed Bettas. They can absolutely jump. I personally have never in 20 years, well, should I say 10 years of full experience with Betta and 10 years break, I've never experienced a Betta jumping. But I assure you many people did. Quite frankly, any fish can jump given the right conditions, especially if they get spooked, especially if they are not yet acquainted with their environment, if they feel insecure, if there are other fish that stress them, and so on and so forth. Almost all fish have the ability to jump. Whether they do or not has to do with many aspects. So having a lid on your aquarium can help with that, but also, as some of you already know, having tight-fitting lids on your aquariums has downsides as well, and I personally do not use tight-fitting lids. But I did read up on Alien Bettas that they can be jumpers, more so than the longfin Betta for sure, but also maybe more so than other varieties like Hellboys or other more fancy Bettas. Oh, one thing I do want to point out, Alien Betta are sometimes considered wild Bettas. They are not, they are actually hybrid, but they do, I believe, seem to have a direct parent which is of a wild variety. It is not captured from the wild, it is reproduced in captivity, but it is not a hybrid fish. Usually the Betta fish that we have in stores, the longfin ones, they are very selected for those traits. They have nothing to do with the wild types anymore. They don't even look like them. But the alien is closer to a wild type, let's say, than most other Bettas. But it is not a wild Betta, even though it was advertised as such for a while. So back to the story. In the car on our way home on the highway, I did notice she was very jumpy in her little bag. It is absolutely normal for fish sometimes to swim very fast in their bags, especially if there are some vibrations or potholes in the roads or sudden movements, but this fish was on another level. It was jumping, and I do believe it was very stressed. So I set up her quarantine tank just to see if everything is okay, and I made sure to not only place a glass lid on the tank, but also cover all of the other places where the lid did not fit tight. The only place which was not fully covered was the place where the evac from the hang on the back filter was. And maybe you can see where I'm going with the story. So, since day one, I did notice that she was incredibly jumpy, and moreover, she was floating a little bit. It wasn't an issue of bloating or anything like that. My suspicion, which turned out to be correct, was the fact that she couldn't swim down was because of the low temperatures. She arrived in low temperature water. So I cranked up the temperature in her quarantine tank to 25 degrees Celsius, and that fixed the issue within a few hours. She was able to swim downwards without any problem once the temperature was reached. So keep this in mind. Sometimes fish generally, and especially warm water fish, will start to not be able to properly swim, especially down, will start to become buoyant if the temperature is too low, and especially with bettas. So keep that in mind before you start administering other medicine for bloat or things of the sorts. If they don't have visible signs of bloat, it might be temperature. Bring the water to the correct temperature for the species you have and see if that helps, because it might actually fix the issue within a day or less. Over the next days, I kept an eye on her and I did discover on her body a few spots. I thought maybe it's ick, so I did add some aquarium salt to the water, and in another few days, everything was cleared and the coloration improved so much. She was eating very well. It was very clear to me that she was a female, not a male, and I was over the moon because females are definitely not as common here as males. You can absolutely find them, but maybe you will not find the ones with, let's say, a coloration that you would like, and definitely you will not find them at any pet shop. You would have to go to more specialized pet shops. So I was over the moon for the fact that she was a female and she was a beautiful alien female. I was already thinking, oh, what a nice video I will make, taking you through the journey, how I treated her, how she behaved in the beginning versus how she behaves now. The problem was her behavior actually never changed. No matter if she was stressed or not, she would try to jump, or rather swim with her head above the water. And I do have an instance filmed, which I'm gonna show you on the screen right now, where you can see her simply swimming above the water. She would do so when I would change the water, yes, but she would also do it on her own, not stressed by anything. She did not have other fish in her quarantine tank, nothing to stress her out really, but she would do this because she wanted to. So each time I made extra sure that the water level was not too high, and also that I covered all of the available spaces through which she could fit, or at least I thought so. So after 2 weeks or so of quarantine, I was already prepared to introduce her to a new tank, but I was thinking, okay, I need to put a lid of sorts on my tanks because she is a jumper. So I already ordered my net because I was gonna DIY a net lid. I already made the frame of the lid and already thought of everything. And then one morning, I come into the plant room, I check everybody in my tanks like I do every single morning, and when I check her tank, she's nowhere to be seen. And the thought entered my mind, what if she jumped? And then I thought, no, come on, you're just too worried about this. So I look for her, I don't see her. I start to move the plants and decorations around, I do not see her. I look in the filter, sometimes they can actually get or swim back in the hang-on filter. She's nowhere to be found. I already knew that she was somewhere on the floor, but I just could not believe that it happened. So I looked on the floor, I looked, and I found her on the floor. And I put her in water in the hopes that she did not jump a long time ago. But yeah, I didn't revive her. She jumped somewhere in the night. Again, without provocation, without being stressed. She jumped because she liked to jump. And the only way out of that tank was where the hang-on filters actually evac the water in the tank. And it's not an easy jump, but she managed to do it somehow. And needless to say, I was crushed. I really was. I even woke up my husband at 6 in the morning because I couldn't handle it. I couldn't believe she jumped. I thought I did such a good job in covering all of the spaces, but I did not, obviously. After a day, after the shock factor was done, I called back the pet shop and asked if they can import one day another Alien Betta, and they said, yeah, I can import next week. And so I said, okay, keep an Alien Betta for me. Yet again, they imported a male that turned out to be a female, and it is the female that I do have now. This one is Mera, I think for obvious reasons, and she's just as gorgeous, but this Alien Betta behaves totally different. She behaves like, I don't want to say a normal Betta because jumping can be a normal behavior for a Betta fish, but she has no tendency of just swimming with her head out of the water. She behaves very much like any other betta I have ever owned. I do keep a net lid on the tank she's in. She's in my Dutch tank, but I've never seen her have any tendency of actually jumping. She spends most of her time on the bottom of the tank just exploring everything, which is something Hera never did. She never actually explored. She was more concerned about jumping. So I'm not sure if I should say that my first alien betta fish had some issues that maybe I wasn't aware of. There weren't any physical signs, but the jumping situation never changed, and I don't believe I gave her any reasons to be spooked all of the time and want to jump all of the time, because I've never had any issues with other fish treated in the same way. But it is what it is. My first alien betta jumped, and it was heartbreaking. When I quarantined my current alien betta, Mera, I made sure that there was no opening in the lid. I used a mosquito mesh lid and I used an internal filter. The only opening was on the side where the cables went out, but it wasn't really an opening. It was just a cut in the frame. But even so, I don't think Mera will have any tendencies of jumping. If she does, it's because she's spooked. I'm keeping the net lid on the tank just in case. But definitely she behaves totally different. So I guess I should say lesson learned, but at the same time I do wonder if my first alien betta had other types of issues that made her behave the way she behaved, because I have never seen a fish behave like that. Yes, I've seen betta fish maybe trying to jump when they're spooked, but I've never seen them just be spooked 24/7. She was not spooked, she just wanted to jump. So I don't know, I definitely learned my lesson when it comes to hang on the back filters and making sure that I do cover that exit as best as possible as well. But when it comes to bettas or alien bettas, I really don't know what to say. Mera is so different from Hera. So if you have a story with an alien betta, a similar story, or maybe you have a very calm, very peaceful, non-jumping alien betta, just let me know in the comments below what is your experience with these fish, because yeah, my first experience has been sad. I really did not expect it to go that way. I thought I did my best, but obviously I didn't, so I feel very bad about myself. But with the second alien betta, which again is female, I'm so happy she's a female too. The experience is so different. She behaves like most other betta fish for me. She's very curious, spends most of her time through the plants, checking out things, not at the top. Mera did not come with issues such as floating or buoyancy or things of the sorts, nor did she have any spots on her or things of the sort, so her quarantine was very short. There was nothing to treat, just making sure that everything is okay, and she doesn't have parasites, and she didn't, so I could introduce her to the community. She's a peaceful fish, she doesn't attack anything. I don't think I can make her flare, not even with a mirror. So she's great for this community tank and I'm very happy, but at the same time I do wonder if my first alien had issues or it was just me just not being careful enough. So yeah, thank you guys for listening. I hope you learned something from this story, and I'll make more videos about Mera in the future because she's just as gorgeous. So before I let you go, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more fish and aquarium videos. And with that said, hope you have a great day. Bye!